one of them actually is a type 1 diabetic. And it was like 6 or 7 months after we had COVID in October. And he said, "Do you smell that? What's that smell?" And I knew right away. I asked, "No, does it smell like rat meat?" And he said, "Yeah, that's long COVID. How have your blood sugars been?" And he's like, "Oh, they've been everywhere for 6 months. That's good. They did this to you." Or it's the middle of the night. We've all got insomnia. So I'll post an animal mashup picture and ask them, "Hey, what should we call this?" Smell like Steve. Let's call it Steve.
And insomnia is a pretty common problem with long COVID, right? Once you do find your groups, it's so helpful, it seems to me, to have such a large group when it's all over the world. So, hopefully everybody can find somebody else, right, who understands their cultural situation. Hi, folks. Welcome to Breathe This, a podcast from the Public Health Action Network. My name's Teresa O'Connor. I'm the communications manager here at FAN, and I'm joined today with Tars Ludwigson, CEO of FAN.
Dude, you got my name right.
I sure
great.
Did.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Today, our very special guest is Amanda Finley. She is a long COVID survivor, a long COVID advocate, and just a really terrific voice for everybody who's affected by long COVID and everybody who doesn't want to be affected by it. So welcome, Amanda. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that.
Fantastic. Amanda is the founder of a Facebook group, COVID-19 Long Haulers, where she started it back in 2020, soon after she got COVID, and now has over 17,000 people. That's just a really terrific community you've created there. And I wanted you to talk a bit about how you first got COVID and then how you started the group.
Well, it started actually February 29th for me, 2020. I used to do a lot of like work with the homeless downtown in Kansas City. And a friend and I decided to put some bags together. It was a beautiful day. It was like 74 degrees in Kansas City. So we put together about 50 bags of water bottles, socks, baby wipes, all kinds of things that you need on the street. We just drove around all day. My son was with us. He was 7 at the time. He was quiet the whole day. And that's kind of unusual for a 7-year-old to be that quiet for that long.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got home, I asked him, "Hey, buddy, do you just want to stay home tomorrow?" He said, "Yeah." And he looked like a wilted flower all day. Like every now and then he'd cough, but I didn't think anything of it. And then a week later, I left work early. Normally on Friday nights when I was out doing deliveries, I was an archaeologist at the time, which is not a regular 9-to-5, 40-hour-a-week job. It's a gig job.
Nope.
It's a gig job. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's gig work as well. I mean, obviously.
It's basically you're working. It's called cultural resource management, where we get called in before improvements are done to a site or before they start building something. We have to make sure that there isn't anything of archaeological significance there.
Got it.
So you're called out like we work a lot with gas pipelines. You can thank archaeologists for holding up the process on DAPL. That's
nice.
us.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
But I had a couple of friends who actually did that. But in the meantime, I had to supplement it with something. So I did grocery deliveries, food deliveries, whatever. And I would stay out on weekends. I didn't have my son until like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, just doing whatever. Like I was kind of miserable in life anyway because I was sort of stuck in this rut. I didn't know how to get out. So I thought, I had 2 things that were good in my life: my son and helping the homeless. So if Joe Blow falls asleep because he's either drunk and or high and doesn't answer the door, there was a timer on there. And once you reach that time limit, you could do whatever with the food. So I take it over to Larry on the corner. "Hey, Larry, did you eat today? You're getting pizza time, buddy." But I left work early that Friday night, which is really unusual for me. I felt like something was off.
Mm.
And then the next morning, I was sicker than I've ever been. I don't think I moved from bed for a couple of days, but I realized I really need help. I have asthma, not sure what's going on. I have an idea. So on about Tuesday, like a couple of days later, I thought, okay, I have to go in somewhere. I didn't have insurance. So I called up a community clinic and I told them, hey, I think this might be what's going on. And he said, oh, just come in. And I was like, no, that's a terrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
as part of my degree in anthropology, we also did medical anthropology,
Mhm.
which encompasses epidemiology. All these things that I've written about in college were coming to fruition now. And I thought, oh man, this is not good. This is not good. But I was too sick and too tired to fight them on it. So I eventually just went in. The waiting room was packed with people. No one is wearing a mask at this point.
Right.
Yeah, and I just kind of tried to like make myself as small as possible, like trying not to breathe on people. I don't know, just get me out of here. And she sent me down to another location. The doctor sent me down to another location to get a chest X-ray, which came back positive for bilateral ground glass opacities, which is very characteristic of COVID and other viral pneumonias. So I went back to my apartment and I closed the door and I didn't come out for 4 months. I didn't want to get anybody else sick. I didn't know if I could, if I was going to get sick with something else on top of that. But when you don't have insurance, what do you do? Like, what do you do? And they're really not doing much for COVID at that point anyhow. And in fact, guidance at the time was saying, don't give people steroids. And I was like, well, shoot, my EMR isn't doing anything on this. I don't know what to do. And it was really scary. It was really scary. So, but I guess if there's a positive to it, I got sick before anything closed down in Kansas City. So I put in a grocery order and I had them deliver like some soil so that I could start a container garden out of my on my porch. Got some seeds, got some other things. And I knew this wasn't going to be a few weeks or even a few months. This was going to be a matter of years, and I'm going to be an indoor cat until the vaccine or something. I just never planned on being an outdoor cat, which is what happened. So I just I wasn't able to work. I started teaching online enrichment classes, and that helped a little bit. But ultimately, the apartment complex decided we're not renewing your lease, and they did this to quite a few people in the complex. And you can't really fight that. Like, it's the end of a business contract. It wasn't an eviction. They were just saying we're not going to renew the lease. So,
Got it.
lost my housing on July 31st, 2020. Yeah, it was not a great time. But some friends had just moved to town, so they opened up their basement to me. And that was where I stayed for about the next year while I was in the basement. Just doing all things long COVID. I got COVID again in the interim. They brought it home and decided not to tell me they were sick. I was not very happy about that.
Oh, that sucks.
That sucks. Why didn't they tell you? I mean, what was the rationale behind?
Like, I don't think they realized just how serious that is.
Right. Got it.
They had every opportunity to tell me. I wasn't home at the time that they got involved. I could have gone somewhere else. And instead, a month later, I found myself in the ER with cardiac issues.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. Amanda, that's so hard. My gosh.
It was frustrating because at this point, I've already started working with media. I've already been out there pounding the pavement on long COVID and awareness. And here they are, like, no, I'm in your basement and you're not listening.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Had you worked with media before?
Not really. No. It just kind of happened. I was working as a contact tracer from home for the Kansas City Health Department. At this point, I'd already had Science Friday on NPR reach out, but the local NBC affiliate reached out to the health department, and the health department's like, "Hey, you should talk to her." And I just sort of, I don't know, I just like
blossomed from there.
Yeah. It was so frustrating. These people living 10 feet above me, like they knew all this, and they still.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's reflective of the rest of the world, right? I mean, while it's not surprising today, because there are so many people that are still doing that. I'm sure at the time, I think we were all just like, why the evidence is so clear, the data is so clear. Why? I don't understand why. Yeah.
Well, especially when you know what this can do to someone, you know what it can mean, and you still do it.
Yeah, and I think that's a difference between somebody like you who actually has been through, a extremely difficult time after having COVID, and then there are many people who haven't been, and so I think it's people often have a hard time putting themselves in other people's shoes, but if you can viscerally see it, especially in your scenario, right, then I'm not sure why it's even harder to understand from my perspective. So.
Yeah, and one of them actually is a type 1 diabetic. The next summer, we're sitting in the kitchen one day about, it was like 6 or 7 months after we had COVID in October. And he said, "Do you smell that? What's that smell?" And I knew right away. I asked, "No, does it smell like rat meat?" And he said, "Yeah, that's long COVID. How have your blood sugars been?" He's like, "Oh, they've been everywhere for 6 months. That's what they did this to you."
Mm-hmm. Jeez.
Wow. So, when and how did you get the idea to start a Facebook group?
I'm a serial group starter. If there's a problem in life, I will start a Facebook group and do some Google Docs.
So this was not your first rodeo with doing a Facebook group?
No, this was not my 5th rodeo either. No, I thought I was just being medically weird at like the first couple of months. I lost all of my hair 7 years before after I had my son. And I went through the ringer. Like I went through every doctor and 2 hospital systems looking for an answer, finding them. So when I got sick and just didn't really get better and weird things started happening, I thought, "Oh, being a medical weirdo again." And my best friend said, "Hey, actually, my sister is still having problems." And then a friend in Alabama said, "I have a friend who's also having problems. You should start one of your groups." And I'm like, "Yeah, I should do that." But then the fatigue hit really hard. So I slept for like a month.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
But it was actually 3 days after and I still don't know what happened that day. I was getting out of the shower and I felt this really sharp knotting pain in my chest that radiated down my arm. And I was like, "Oh God."
Yeah.
I mean, I know what to do. Like, I know I should call 911.
Right.
But there's so many variables here. So I texted a friend and said, "Hey, can you come over here? The door's unlocked. Come on the floor, then call 911. And I put a message out on Facebook telling my friends, "Hey, if something happens, I don't know what's going on, but if something happens, never stop telling my son how much I love him." I didn't know it was going to happen. And then 3 days later, I was like, "Okay, this isn't just me. I'm starting that group."
Yeah. Oh, that's so scary. My God.
And I'm kind of glad I didn't know a lot of what I know now back then.
It probably would have freaked you out a lot more, right?
So you started your group and you started finding other people who were being affected by some of the same things.
I still remember at the very beginning, we had maybe like 200 people in the group. And it was such a tight village that, someone like disappeared for 3 days. And everyone was like, "Oh my God, where is she? Is she okay? Someone check on her." And we still talk about this 6 years later. Like, "Hey, around that time." And what really surprised me was about 2 weeks later, I had this flood of people from the United Kingdom who came in, and I was like, "What's going on?" "Oh, we saw you on TV." And I was like, I am a bald single mom in Kansas City who hasn't worn pants in like 4 months. I'm not on TV. So I went and I looked, and sure enough, there was my group on TV. And he's like, "Okay, we're doing this now."
Oh, how funny. So somebody from the UK found out about it,
Right.
didn't contact you or anything, but just decided to highlight it.
Yeah.
There we have all the random things.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So you got a bunch of folks in from the UK, and then it kind of grew from there, I imagine.
Yeah. I mean, by August, and this is like 3 months in, there were like 5,000 people on the group. I was like, what's going on? And it wasn't the only group out there. There's so many groups now, like hundreds of groups out there. It's just horrifying to think how many people were going through this. And I still, 6 years later, get people joining my group who were sick in March 2020 specifically.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Some of them are just now finding out, oh, I have long COVID.
That's
And I've been dealing with it for 6 years.
So it sounds like the Facebook group, it's people are sharing information, maybe research papers, maybe sharing information about themselves, but also looking out for each other, right? Like trying to take care of each other, even though you guys are spread out across the world, right?
Yeah, that really helps. We did a documentary with RT America in November, and it came out in January 2021. And I knew the instant it hit YouTube, my DMs just started blowing up. And at first, it was all these people from Cuba, and I speak a tiny bit of Spanish, but I didn't. I thought, man, what is all this spam doing coming from Cuba right now? And then someone took a picture of his TV, and I was on his TV, and I realized, oh my God, all these people have long COVID too.
Yeah.
So I called in a guy in my group who's a native Spanish speaker. I was like, hey, come here, try out these people. And then Peru, Colombia, like half of South America, and then most of the African continent. It was just wild. And they all said, I think those are the more heartbreaking cases. They had been going through this for a year.
Right.
They had no idea what was going on. Their family, friends, they're telling them they're just crazy. And they were all thinking, maybe I am crazy. But it's not it. No, you're not crazy. I promise you, you're not going crazy.
That's interesting. Yeah, and I think, or at least I hypothesize that, and I'm sorry, I'm trying, let me collect my thought. So I'm thinking of like places like Africa, I haven't seen a whole lot of information come out of. So I can only imagine the broader isolation as opposed to a place like the UK or the US or Australia or Europe, where at least there's a concerted effort for people like you and people like Fan and to push out information, right? But in some of those more more spread out locations, or those that are controlled, where the control of information is in place, right? It's very difficult to get actual accurate information, and even worse, they're putting out disinformation in order to keep on keeping on. So
no, actually, I have to props to a lot of Africa. Their public health messaging
is pretty good.
Yeah,
I would. Yeah, and actually that makes sense for things like Ebola and
exactly.
Things like that are more prevalent.
Yeah.
Sure, Marburg, sure.
Yeah, but South Africa in particular, I swear this happens with everyone who's joined the group in South Africa. They always say, "I'm the only person I know who's had COVID." And it's like, I've got like half your country in here, so you're not one.
But there's some stigma against talking about it there. It sounds like.
I don't know if it's a stigma so much as it is. It's just not, that information just isn't getting out there.
Sure.
Until they join these groups and they're like, oh, I've never one. Okay.
I think that's, reflective also in things when people, when many of us say, oh, I'm the only one I know who's masking, except, realistically, there are tens of millions of people who are masking, right? And so it is such a, because of social media and because of these, forms of communication that we have now, at least you can meet those other people, whereas historically you would just literally continue to think that, right? And so that's why, I think that it's amazing that your Facebook group has that many people, because it really is, part of understanding COVID is, feeling a bit isolated for a variety of reasons, right? But things like social media very much help in that. One of the few benefits of social media is is reducing the isolation factor.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's and a lot of it is algorithm driven, so it makes it harder to find information unless you go like specifically looking for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was about to say, once you do find your groups, you can, you can use most of your Facebook time just in the groups, right? Like, and maybe not even worry so much about the algorithm, but
Right.
it's so helpful. It seems to me to have such a large group when it's all over the world. So, hopefully everybody can find somebody else, right, who understands their cultural situation.
Yeah, and it's not even one of the bigger groups out there. There are plenty of groups who are like 60, 80,000, 100,000 people. But I've really tried to focus on fighting disinformation, and maintaining a healthy village on the, where we're looking out for each other. We're not going to attack each other. We're all going through our time right now. Let's be supportive. You don't have to agree with that, and that's okay, but be kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a novel.
It is in America these days. It is, right?
It really is, unfortunately. I mean, yeah.
So, Amanda, I wanted to ask you about how COVID has affected you, like socially and also economically. I know it's been really hard on you financially, and it sounds like that's a really common story with folks with long COVID.
Yeah, people have died this way. Had they had access to resources, they would still be with us.
So it's purely financial reasons that they died.
Yeah, it's that's heartbreaking. Like, and a lot of us, like, we have so many issues going on medically that it's impossible to keep up with it. Like, I have things that I need to go and have checked out with a doctor, but the list is so long. I'm really tired. I stopped driving 5 years ago. When I started falling down the stairs, I thought, I should probably not drive. I'm going to stop that right now. And I wish a lot more people with long COVID would follow suit on that, especially after reading some of these research papers that have been put out saying, hey, we're seeing massive increases in automobile accidents. That's
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. And the new variant that came out, I believe, is fainting is a major symptom from it.
Well, I really hate it when media outlets focus on this is a symptom, that is a symptom.
Right.
No, we stop that because these symptoms have been present with every.
So fainting has been common.
Yeah,
since day one.
Go along with having POTS.
Yep.
Like this is not anything new.
Right.
And when you tell people in the public, hey, these are the 3 symptoms to look for with this variant,
right,
they ignore all the other ones.
Exactly.
That's
fair point.
So damaging. Like, hey, no, just because you don't have this. And especially like the first year and a half or so, no one was looking for GI symptoms. But
I know, and then they came.
The first research paper that we did with a couple of doctors was on GI issues. So yeah, you could have a GI presentation of long COVID or of COVID.
Of COVID,
and because the media is telling you look out for that cough,
right?
And you're not looking at that.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you were saying, I mean, it almost feels like the media is using that as a way to. So a lot of the stuff we've all already known, right? I mean, we've read up on this from day one, and we've known it's a plethora of symptoms. We've known that GI issues existed, tinnitus, a whole bunch of things that are either rarely talked about or that are newly presented when other variants come out. And I mean, the new one, to piggyback a bit off what Teresa's saying, right? The new thing is, it looks like children might be more susceptible to this particular variant as well. And I without reading into the research, like one of the things that I immediately thought of was they've heavily said historically that, right, it doesn't affect children so much. It's not children. And so is this their new way of introducing stuff we've known for the last 6 years, that we know it impacts children. We know that they're primary drivers. We know it's going to impact them, down the line. So I anytime I hear this sort of like, suggestions of what a variant is. It's all the same from my perspective, but I feel like they're trying to present it with new information that we've all thought about. Yeah, new span. Yeah.
And the one thing that I when I was working as a contact tracer, I still remember like when we first started, we were doing classes for like 2 weeks or so. And they talked about the 10 symptoms of COVID, and I laughed out loud. Like, and I made sure every single contact tracer in that room had a list because we started a symptom list in our group. It was one of the first things we did.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, no, here are the 300 symptoms. Go
Right,
figure
right.
it out.
300. Oh my gosh.
The health department had this list.
Right. Which is amazing. Yeah. Yeah. And they still try to pigeonhole it down into just respiratory. That's right. So.
And it's not even really a respiratory virus. It's airborne, yeah, but it's a neurovascular virus.
Exactly. Yep.
So this is not what you think it is. It's worse.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't have insurance, so you were using community clinics?
Yep.
Was that pretty much the only healthcare you were getting was from community clinics for a while?
I went to one community clinic, and it was just that first time. The rest of the time, I knew there wasn't really anything else out there for me. My PCP is wonderful. Oh my gosh! All my long haulers who were in Kansas City, I send them to him. It's great. I was his first person who had COVID and all. But he listens. He really listens. And he knew without insurance, okay, well, it's going to be hard for me to get up there to visit now. So we did email, phone call, telehealth. He did everything he could. He was like, my goal is to keep you alive.
And where's he located?
He's in Kansas City. He's north of the city.
Gotcha. And you're not driving, and I'm guessing that mass transit in Kansas City is
It's that. It doesn't go up there. No.
Yeah.
And that's a struggle for anybody with long COVID who wants to stop driving, right? They need to be cognizant of what the transit options are in their town, and some places just don't.
Yeah. And I get a lot of pushback every time I say, hey, stop driving. Well, I have to drive. Okay, well, it's going to hurt someone. Eventually, it's going to hurt someone.
Yeah.
Is it really worth it?
Yeah.
We have to find a way to do this now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So were you, did you start filing for disability insurance right away, or?
I did try filing for disability. I was rejected, as most people are. But at the same time, because I've done mostly gig jobs, I'm not going to get much out of disability anyway. It takes several years if you're lucky to get it. And then once you do get it, it's not a viable income. That's not sustainable. It's enforced poverty.
It's not even enough to pay your rent, correct?
No, no. Yeah. And my rent is even that bad.
Right.
But it's fun.
Right.
So,
I think about people living in like LA or New York. Disability is around $900 a month, correct?
Yeah.
I cannot imagine trying to live. I mean, nowhere in America can you survive on that.
No, you can't. And the disability system is very overburdened right now, much more than they were 6 years ago. We've done several town halls in my group with a disability advocate down in Georgia who's wonderful. She's been winning cases left and right for the past 4 or 5 years. But we have to stay alive until we get disability. If we get disability,
right,
we have to figure something out.
Yep.
And it's kind of frustrating when people who are outside of this problem looking in are like, oh, well, you should try to get on disability. And I'm like, you are hilarious. Let me shoot that.
You're hilarious, and I'm not really laughing.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this disability advocate, you have to, you basically, you'll apply, you'll get rejected, and then you have to find some sort of advocate or lawyer to fight the rejection.
No, you don't have to. You can do it on your own. But an advocate or attorney, they're better versed in making
Right.
sure that you've got more of it together. Like you present a more thorough case.
Got it.
And when you're, especially with long COVID, when you also are dealing with cognitive issues, that really helps.
Sure.
Um,
Yep.
and with a disability advocate and with an attorney, they do take a portion of the earnings that you get once you're finally, once
Jeez.
you get approved
Like,
for it. But it's federally capped how much you can take.
That's
And that's like a permanent thing. So anybody who gets disability, they'll be paying for that forever.
No. It just comes out of that first pay.
first tranche.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
But it really is worth it just to not have to go through this for a much longer period of time. Like you can get it done more quickly. If 2 or 3 years is considered more quickly.
My goodness. Would you say that most of the people in your group have had to use a lawyer or an advocate for their case?
I would even say most. Some have. And a lot of that is because this disability advocate that we have, we've been doing these town halls with her since 2021. So we've got these points of reference for them, so they can, they at least have a better idea of what to expect. But for a lot of us, it's really hard to do this entire disability process. There's just a lot of legwork involved that no one can do for you.
And a lot of thinking work, right? Like it, and
Yeah.
parts of your brain have been like.
That's what she's. Yep.
And if you're living in a tent and you're trying to fill out these disability forms so that you can send them to the advocate, and then a thunderstorm comes along and ruins all of your papers, this has happened twice.
Wow.
Start over again.
Oh my gosh.
How does it compare? So, because we're talking in this particular sense, I'm assuming mostly about the USCNs. How does it compare to other people in your group from other countries, as far as like trying to secure disability, in some form or another? Is it roughly comparable? Are there some places that are amazing at it? No, I would assume no, but
they have totally different processes.
Right.
We don't like helping people in the United States. We like punishing people.
Right, of course, yeah.
And, most other countries think that we are barbarians, and they are correct. We are. UK has a lot of issues with Canada and the UK. They both have similar issues with their disability systems.
Right, got it.
Interesting.
Canada, especially, if you go on disability, it's awful. It's almost as bad as it is in the United States.
Even though they both have universal guaranteed health care, and a lot of people think that solves everything, and it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm friends with a woman who's in Canada. She creates like gemstone art. She'll do like mandala paintings. They're really cool. But she does it because she has to supplement this tiny income she gets. That's still nowhere near enough.
Interesting. What about companies or countries like Cuba? Because I know you mentioned, many people from Cuba.
It's hard knowing what is going on in Cuba right now. I don't know if you've been watching the blockade, and
Yes.
Most other countries look at their medical system, but they also don't have they don't have access to a lot of the latest research.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
Sure.
And I think
Makes
harder.
sense.
There's no win-win situation in long COVID.
Is there any country that's treating folks better than the United States?
Yeah, Japan is doing an outstanding job.
Unsurprised.
The United States is not hard to beat right now. But I did an interview with Yomiuri Shimbun several years ago, and the journalist I was speaking with, this was all so bizarrely horrible to him. Like, oh my God, you in the chat? Yeah. And this happened. Yeah, this happened a lot. He was just horrified.
Tell us a bit about how you came to live in a tent.
Well, it was the summer of 2021. I'd had it with the family that I was living with at the time. Like, they weren't taking any precautions. They, vax and relax. And I kept telling them, no, I just got tired of constantly being afraid of what was coming next.
Because
And
another
I
infection at that point would have just devastated you,
Yeah.
right?
yeah. And I finally decided, look, I don't know where else to go. There are no resources in the city. You know what? If I'm in a tent up at my happy spot up at the state park, no one is breathing my air. I will just do that. And there's a certain I don't know. At least when you're in a tent, when you're by yourself like that, there's sort of a sense of this is my space. You
Right.
can't
Yep.
take my space.
Yep.
As opposed to making yourself live as small as possible, just so that you're
Right.
like, and you spend a lot of time making yourself small.
Yeah, it's something you can control, right? I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is, most of these other scenarios are uncontrollable because people are either ignorant of what they should be doing, or they don't care, and mixed with a ton of lacking empathy, and it's So yeah,
And
so
there's a sense
So-
of ownership about it too. Like, this is my space.
sure.
Yep.
I make the rules in my space.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Yep. That makes sense.
So, how long did you stay in the tent?
I was on and off for quite some time. When the campground closes, or the restrooms anyhow, the bathhouse at the campgrounds, they close like the end of October, I want to say. But by that point, we'd already gotten our first snow. I developed pneumonia.
Oh my gosh.
I knew I was sick, so I called my doctor. I was like, "Hey man, can we just do tests? Let's do chest X-ray." He's like, "Yeah, it's cool." So we did a chest X-ray. Hey, I have pneumonia. Oh my god. It was a really rough time. Fall 2021 was pretty awful. One of my group members died, and I was not okay. Another group member up in Minnesota actually drove 6 hours down here, picked me up, and brought me back up to Minnesota. And that was where I spent the next month and a half, 2 months, somewhere inside, safe, no people.
Somebody who
Just-
got it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So was that the end of the tent life for you, or no?
Nope. Spring came, and I was back out at the campground. And by May, oh my God, the first week of May that year, 2022, it was 100 degrees every day for a week.
Oh my god.
Yuck.
And I don't know. I can't remember how many tents I'd been through at this point, but the tent that I had, like the nice newer tent, the poles broke. So I ordered replacement poles from Amazon. And I got the poles. They were the wrong poles. They were for like an A-frame tent.
Oh my gosh.
Nice.
And I was, are you kidding me?
Uh,
So I angrily set up a stake here, set up a pull here, took some rope, tied it across, threw my tent over the top, and it
jeez.
was home. Sleeping up under this like half a tent.
Wow,
And it was a bizarre time too.
Good.
I got really active with political connections on Twitter. And I was like on the phone with this woman running for U.S. Senate one day. We talked for like 90 minutes, and I'm in my tent. We gotta fix this. This is BS. She's like, "It's crazy, dude. This is really absurd." I like a good juxtaposition with really absurd.
right. Yeah, it's quite an image.
And I wasn't. I at this point, I'd started looking for places. I had a group of friends who were trying to help me get in somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not going well. I applied at several different places. Most of the places in Kansas City charge a non-refundable fee just to apply.
Oh god.
I spent over $550 just in application fees.
Oh
That's
my gosh.
crazy.
And it was not going well.
Oh,
I
jeez.
came across this listing on Craigslist. And it just seemed like it was too good to be true, but I thought I'll check it out anyhow. No, it was actually legit. It was the cutest little 3-bedroom bungalow. It was darling. Everything was set. I had the utilities transferred over to my name. I even had a box that was delivered there from a friend. She sent some pots and pans. And then it fell through the last minute. And I was like, I will repeat what I said, but it was not good.
Oh.
Why did it fall through?
Man, that's so hard.
I was not okay at that point. And then about 2 weeks later, I got a text from the maintenance, or not maintenance guy, the apartment manager. He was like, "Hey, I've got 2 places. You went upstairs or down?" And I was like, "Wait, what?" Huh? That was a bad call on the upstairs. But yeah, I moved in 2 days later.
Wow.
And it was just weird. I had nothing. I had some clothing, and I had my pool float, like, and I had a bed tent, and that was what I moved in with. And it was just like this, everything good was happening all at once. It was a lot. I just didn't know how to process it after
Sure.
all of this other stuff. And I just kind of sat there in my pool float for a week, rocking back and forth like, oh, God. I've got Morgan Fairchild in my DM saying, "You got a registry somewhere?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Oh my gosh, how did
great.
that happen that you got connected with Morgan Fairchild?
It was a couple weeks after Jake had died in September the year before. And we'd been, we chatted a little bit on Twitter back and forth. But
you know what? Maybe you should tell us about Jake first.
Jake,
Yeah.
He was great. He was one of the original people in the group. We joined up pretty early on. And in August 2020, he posted in the group, "Hey, I just cannot breathe, but I can't afford my inhalers." So I messaged him and I was like, "Hey, what inhalers do you need?" And he said, "Well, what is this, albuterol?" And I'm like, "Dude, let's do it." So we helped him out. The group came together, helped him out. We made sure he got some inhalers. He was really doing better. But then he got COVID again in November. And that really, in Texas, that winter, that was the winter that Texas had that massive ice storm. And by that point, Jake and his fiancée, Tashina, they had already lost their place. They were living in and out of their car. It was not good. He got sicker and sicker. And by the time May hit, he was actually in the ICU for about a month on a ventilator.
Wow.
We thought we were losing that. And his ejection fraction got down to single digits. And it was like, God, how is he still alive? And I got a message from Tashina one morning. I was expecting the worst when I saw that. I was I was bracing myself like, this is the message. And I opened it up and she's like, "Oh my God, no, his ejection fraction is 24% right now. He pulled the vent himself and he's just sitting here." And I'm like, wow, okay. But it didn't last. We couldn't afford the medicine that he needed to stay alive. I mean, it was like $20 a pill. And by about, it was August, and mid to end of August, we were getting him like what we could, 2 free doses at a time, whatever, just keep him alive until we, let's figure something out. It was during that time that Ed Young reached out and he interviewed me for an article that he did. And that article came out September 1st. He was doing a Twitter space about it on September 2nd or 3rd. And he pulled me up to speak about, all these socioeconomic impacts because nobody had talked about it at that point. It was just a little blurb in Ed's most recent article. And I'm sitting here telling like 3,000 people, you can get $60 together to get a few more doses of this heart medication. And someone listening messaged me and said, "Hey, what's your Venmo?" And I sent $60. And at the same time, Tashina sent a message saying he just collapsed. They can't get a pulse on him. They can't get a heart there. They can't get his blood pressure. So they brought him into the ER. And they wouldn't let her go because she wasn't technically next of kin. So I sent her the 60 and she was able to at least get to the hospital, but he died 30 hours later.
Oh my gosh.
And we'd been trying to keep him going until he could at least get on Medicaid, but they wouldn't, he wasn't going to get anywhere until he got on disability. So yeah, we found out 5 hours after he died that he finally qualified for disability.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow.
I just went ballistic on Twitter. Like wow. I didn't just I typed a lot of messages, but I did like over 700 video messages screaming at the world like he's dead. We begged for help and he is dead. He should not be dead. You did nothing.
700 messages. Wow.
I mean, I didn't think anybody would ever see any of it, because nobody pays attention. Nobody really pays attention. But Morgan reached out one night. I'm like sitting in my tent, I hear my phone ding and I looked up. Morgan Fairchild is in my DMs. And she asked me, I'm so sorry. I I read about your friend. I'm so sorry. How are you? Not okay. How are you?
Cool.
But as it turned out, her partner of many years, he actually had long COVID. He had long COVID as well. He ended up dying 2 years later. He's on long COVID.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she was personally very vested in it. And it's a really horrible way to lose someone because it moves so slowly and it's just horrific. It's so lamentable. Yeah. And Angie would still be here if he hadn't living in his car.
If he were able to get the meds he needed, he would still be alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn. Is this a common problem in the people that you see in the Facebook group, not being able to get the meds they need?
Mm-hmm. Yep, very much so. And after we lost him, I told myself, okay, we're not losing anybody else like this. This is not okay. And we lost someone last year, in February last year. She lost her apartment about the same time I did in 2024. So I was kind of limited on how much I could do at the time. I'm like, oh, God. But yeah, she ended up losing her place and she was quiet for a couple of months. And then she reached back out in December of 2024. Yeah. And she said, hey, I've been on the streets and this happened and that happened, but I'm getting into a shelter. And then a month and a half later, she was dead.
Oh, jeez.
You can't keep listening. It's the stupidest way to lose someone. Like this is, at this point, it's just a matter of we are not even providing basics to people. We're just letting them die in the streets.
Yep. Yeah, that's horrific.
But you guys are finding community in your group. That's got to be some measure of relief.
It is. Yeah. It's I don't know. And I try, like, I think telling anyone I told you so is sort of a cruel thing to do. But I found a lot of people who do develop long COVID later on, they often will say, yeah, you warned us. You know?
That's the worst part, right?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all on this side of the bridge now, so support.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's admirable. I mean, I think there are, I'm sure you've had thoughts of wanting sometimes to say, I told you so. But I think that's a normal human reaction. But I mean, I'm, very much on your side, which is there's no point because it's the worst. I told you so. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't make anybody it just makes it worse. Yeah. And so it's, yeah.
Amanda, what surprised you about the Facebook group or about the people joining it? Anything leap out at you about surprises?
I think just the extent of where they're calling in from. Like, what? How did you find this?
And you said it's you've got people from over 100 countries.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah, that is amazing.
That is.
Yeah, and I've got a couple of people. I can't read the Cyrillic alphabet, so come here. What is that?
I'll sign up.
There you go.
I'll sign up.
No, actually, if anything has surprised me, it's been the way that people interact in my group. That we don't really have too many instances of drama and ugliness.
Inner fighting.
Yeah. I think part of it is because, hey, if you're going to be like that, that's bastard for you. There are plenty of other groups to find another one.
Yeah.
And you run it so you can kick people out, right? So
right.
Universal.
Good. I mean, I think that's...
Have you had to kick people out?
Okay, yeah. And it's not a pleasant thing, but it's a lot of the people who've been in the group, like through most of the history of the group, they're pretty good at self-policing when telling people, hey, that's not okay. That's not okay.
That's great.
Was
That's
on the
great.
support group, not WWE. Like,
Right,
we did.
right.
Like, yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, I think we can probably wrap this up. Amanda, thank you so much for coming here today. Is there any final word or message you want people to know about?
I think the big thing is understanding how, we do need research, we do need treatment, but we have to be alive for that. And in order to stay alive, we need our basic needs to be met. And that's just not happening for a lot of people. So when you see a mutual aid post, oh my God, share it. Even if you can't do anything, do that. And help us fight. We can't do this on our own. I spoke at a funeral for another long hauler. She died by suicide in August 2022.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she had in June, it was before, she tried posting to the group late at night. It was like after midnight. She had said something and I could tell what was going on. And she's like, we need to talk about suicide. Then I got really garbled and I realized, oh God, she just swallowed everything under the sun. So I called 911. I had her cell phone. I didn't know her address, but I had her cell phone. And they were able to get to her in less than 10 minutes. But she was extremely sick. And I think they had a couple months together as a family, and they made the best of it. And then she was quiet for a day or two. And I went to her wall on Facebook. No. And at her funeral, after the eulogies had been given, they asked, is there anybody who'd like to say anything? Does anyone want to share a memory of Brooke? Or, just enough of us to know. And nobody moved. I'm sitting in the very back. And I thought, well, nobody else is going to talk. I will. Mom, I got to tell them, we need you in this fight. We can't do this on our own. We're sick. We need you to help elevate our voices. We need you to be screaming at our legislators. We need you to be supporting in every way you can. Because right now we're not getting that, and this is what happens. It's not okay.
And it almost seems like there are certain factions that are actually pushing for things like MAID, and instead of trying to resolve the underlying issues, they're actually completely trying to circumvent it to make it legal and make it, I know there's been a push in Canada for stuff like that. It's
that's a very tricky conversation because there are people, and I don't really talk about this much, but I do have a group on Facebook. It's a quiet group, but they don't really advertise. It's the people who decided they're done.
Yeah,
about it. People feel safe talking about it.
Yep.
Yeah. So folks with long COVID, you need treatment, you need research, but you also need material support to make sure that you can stay alive. And that's going to take, at least in the short term, just tons of mutual aid. But long term, people in disability, they need a livable income.
Yep.
And they need housing.
And we're not going to get that in this administration.
Yeah, I guess what I would say is from that, not as a closing message, but if you are listening to this and you do need that support, reach out, and we'll try to figure out how we can get you some help, or we will figure out how we can get you some help.
But even beyond that, it should just be on us to reach out.
For sure.
Everyone else, if someone goes quiet, you need to check on them. You need to check on your friends.
That's true, yeah.
If something goes quiet in my group, and if I don't get a text back or a message back or something, I will start searching for obituaries. And I really need finding people that way.
Oh, gosh, that is hard. But you know what, Amanda, I'm so grateful for you for building and keeping this group going. It's clearly a lifeline for you in some aspects, but for everybody else. So I want to remind people the name of the group is COVID-19 Long Haulers Discussion Group. It is a private group, so I believe you need to be approved to join it. But it's a great group of people, and they're sharing news and research and possible treatments, but also just checking in on people. I'm not doing great today, or yeah, and that's going to be important.
Or it's the middle of the night, we've all got insomnia, so I'll post an animal mashup picture and ask them, hey, what should we call this? And they're like, let's call it Steve.
And insomnia is a pretty common problem with long COVID, right?
Yeah, we actually did a town hall with that on sleep disorders and long COVID with Steve Jaffe a couple years ago.
Were you surprised at what a common problem it is?
Not really. I mean, but I don't know if it's just because we saw so much of it so early that it was like, oh, yeah, this is a problem. Every organ system is a problem.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I think that's the thing, right? We know everything that it does. So the fact that it's causing, any type of distress, especially, sleep, either deprivation or an overabundance of needing, feel like fatigued, right? Those are, those are interlinked in many ways, right? So both come from the brain plus.
So what keeps you going, Amanda?
Well, first of all, my kid. I love my kid. He's the funniest person. And I really hate it when people are like, oh, hold on to hope. Yeah, no. How about no? You don't have to have hope because it is really freaking dark. It's okay to not have hope. Just keep going for as long as you can. And if you feel like you can't, that's okay.
Yeah, I feel like people use that a lot, right? I mean, there is hope, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's visible on the horizon in your particular scenario. And so having, the raw anger and the raw, sort of like looking at it from a survival perspective, not a, sunflowers and hummingbirds and butterflies perspective.
You should say that. Number one, I'm a Kansas girl, so yeah, sunflowers.
Yeah.
But butterflies, all my life, butterflies have followed me around.
That's
I'll
cool.
be out shooting a toll station on an archaeological site, and butterflies start landing on me. And it's happened all my life. Like a Girl Scout camp, doing a woodburning project, and I just practiced for 2 hours, intensely focused. I looked up and I was covered with butterflies. Like, wow. But I don't know, butterflies is kind of this recurrent theme in my life.
Huh, that's really interesting.
Not into like the lore of butterflies. And
Sure.
That keeps me going too.
That's great.
Yeah. And the Stockdale paradox. Buddhist philosophy.
Yep.
Stockdale paradox meaning you look at the situation as it is.
Right,
You
exactly.
don't need toxic positivity, but you also don't need to be totally pessimistic. You just deal with the reality of okay.
Reality. Realism, I think, is a lost art, right? That people either fall too quickly to pessimism or optimism.
Yep. It's very true. Well, reality, it's hard when you're used to maybe, a comfortable middle-class life and maybe something like this hits you.
I've got a blog post about the Stockdale paradox. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
That's really what's kept me going. Like everything is falling apart. Like I've got stories at this point. Like it was the middle of February. I'm sitting outside this hotel in Leavenworth, Kansas, with nowhere to go, waiting for the person who was supposed to be helping. I'm like, I don't know. Russia has gone into Ukraine. I've got someone in my group. She's from Ukraine. Her mom is still in Ukraine. They both have COVID. Mom has decided she's just going to stay where she is. She taped up her windows and said, I'll take my chances with the Russians. And her daughter is like, oh my God, we got to get her out.
Yeah.
So I'm on the phone with all my friends sitting outside. Nowhere to go and nothing really else to do. Hey, you do know in Moldova. We got to get her out.
It's surreal, right? I mean, it really is surreal. Yeah.
That is surreal. But again, it speaks to the power of your group. It's just fantastic.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming, Amanda. It's been a terrific conversation. And boy, we sure wish you the best and everybody in the group the best with keeping building that community and hopefully finding, more treatment and more research.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. mass hospice is not the thing I ever wanted to do, but
No. And that's not a solution either.
No, it's not.
No. All right. Well, thanks for coming, Amanda. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you very much.